With the crew still on the tour in Australia with Nitro, which was taped on Friday night in front of another sold-out crowd in Melbourne, going on the air on Monday with the news breaking during the weekend on Vince McMahon and the WWF becoming the favorites to buy WCW from Turner Broadcasting in a twist that might change the industry forever, as just days after it looked like the Eric Bischoff-headed Mandalay Sports group would take over the company with the official announcement just a matter of time. The deal ended up falling through with McMahon instead the leading contender to buy the company, with the current talk being that Turner executives want to retain the 4 primetime hours of Nitro and Thunder, which are still some of the most watched on cable television, with the idea that McMahon is the one to most likely oversee a company turnaround and increase their viewership significantly in the near future. And from the WWF side, the deal would be more possible to finalize as the company has a legal right to match any offer to buy WCW due to a clause in the copyright lawsuit stemming from the debuts of Hall and Nash in the company in mid-96, with the possibility of Vince pretty much completing monopoly of the industry, leading to major buzz either with panic of it being the worst thing for the business or excitement from the possibility of seeing major crossover feuds between the top names in both companies. Nash was out next for commentary, saying that the company should bring Scott Hall back as he was drinking for 2 people on the tour in his absence, in what would end up the final on-air mention of Hall as a WCW contractual performer, with Hall being sent his release during the week with a combination of personal issues and a neck injury suffered at the Super Brawl pay-per-view in February. As with the tease of Hall returning getting massive crowd reactions every time it was mentioned, along with his return being perhaps the most asked question for months on the daily WCW Internet audio show. The pay-per-view ended up the final appearance in his WCW run that saw Hall help put the company on the map and take Nitro and in the process the entire industry to the next level on the way to its biggest ever boom period, with Nitro's first hour closing with the match being cut short due to major ankle injury, with Johnny the Bull landing wrong on a monkey flip spot. The Goldberg-Chronic confrontation crossed over the top of the hour to hype up their Halloween Havoc pay-per-view match, with Vince Russo during the week when going over the top matches on the card joking that they might add a special stipulation to the match of the loser being the one who sells first, with the majority of the first opposed quarter seeing a Booker vs. Shane Douglas WCW title match going 9 minutes, with Scott Steiner on commentary being censored on every second sentence on the taped show, cutting a wild promo on Tori Wilson throughout the match after already shooting on her and Kimberly Page in a WCW website audio interview that also had to be heavily edited a few days earlier, with WCW, while not having as big of an unopposed audience as last week, managing to maintain it better on the night to open Nitro with a 2.2 rating, which was also the peak of the show. Raw coming from the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit in perfect timing, coming 6 days from the blow-off match of the Austin Car Attack storyline, with it being the same venue of Survivor Series 99, opened with Eddie Guerrero's follow-up promo on China in a different format after the last few weeks of over 20-minute promo segments, acknowledging it through Jericho's promo, who said that it's time to start the show fast with a match, ending up with it being cut short as less than 20 minutes after Johnny the Bull's injury. Eddie injured his leg from the same exact move, landing awkwardly on the ropes, with the match ending a minute into 4 spontaneous changes to the broadcast opening with a 4.3 rating. Minutes after being bleeped or censored in half his commentary, Scott Steiner was back on the microphone in a backstage interview, with him again being muted throughout, including the other 2 in the interview being bleeped several times in unprecedented amount of censoring during the show that brought up a glimpse of what the company would have to deal with if the show was taped every week and had to go through standards and practices censorship before making the air on a weekly basis, with Goldberg out next going over David Flair, with Rick on commentary teasing a potential Goldberg-Flair feud, with Raw against it after the lower-than-usual opening picking up over 600,000 viewers for a Rikishi sit-down interview, again explaining his reasoning for running over Austin, saying that he meant everything he said regarding the company holding back his people and he will make sure Rock stays at the top spot in the company as long as he's in it. With Rock on Thursday responding to the insinuation that he needed Rikishi to take out Austin for him to be the top star in the company, when in reality he was already there months prior to November '99, saying that he would have been in the exact same position he's in now as the #1 guy in the industry if Austin was standing next to him or in front of him in the past year, continuing the subtle build-up for the eventual Rock vs. Austin clash on the way to WrestleMania in April. Nitro had 2 matches in the quarter next, first with Steiner vs. Kidman followed by Jarrett vs. Conan, while Raw against it having 2 backstage segments of Hunter Angle and Stephanie and mostly a Snow vs. Regal European title match going 4 minutes, with the quarter between 9:30 to 45 p.m. falling on both shows to the lowest combined viewership of the year with a combined 6.2 rating, as both shows took a major hit on the night with their lowest rated hours on their regular time slots since the Monday Night Tours entered its peak period almost 2 years ago. Nitro's final quarter saw a Sting vs. Nash Lumberjack main event going 7 minutes, and after the 1.7 low of the previous quarter rebounding slightly to a 1.8 rating, as the house show atmosphere of the show, with it being the second taped broadcast in Australia with the creative crew of Terry Taylor and Johnny Ace reportedly taking the basic structure of the scripts Russo sent and mostly booking the show on the spot, along with the imminent sale of the company signaling that Russo most likely wrote his final WCW show, and with a bigger factor being heavier sports competition on the night, Nitro dropped to its lowest rated regular episode in years with a 2.3 rating. As on the first Monday since the rumors of McMahon buying the company, the numbers on both programs raised questions on if the Monday Night Tours boom is in its final stages. Raw countered the Nitro main event with a Triple H vs. Kane match going 7 minutes to pick Raw over 400,000 viewers back to a 4.7 rating, closing Raw's first hour with a 4.6 rating overall, the lowest rated hour of the show in its original time slot since the show entered its peak run, seeing Benoit interfering for the finish to lay out Hunter and making him tap in the build to their pay-per-view match, with Steve Austin coming out next minutes from the top of the hour placed to open the first unopposed quarter. Austin coming out in the same building of Survivor Series '99 saying that he waited 11 months of rehab to get back to the ring, saying that he's gonna bring everything out on Rikishi to hype up a violent match for Sunday in Austin's official return to the ring in almost a year, cutting an intense promo on Rikishi, who was banned from the building by Foley just as he showed up on screen from the parking lot, calling Austin out to not wait for Sunday to end up with him attempting to run him over again in the same location of the original skit last year, with the Austin-Rikishi segment in a quarter which also featured an X-Pac vs. Billy Gunn brawl jumped over 800,000 viewers unopposed to the peak of the night 5.3 rating. With the WWF now established on TNN with the effects of it in terms of where's the selling of the network becoming clear by the week, ECW, after being allowed by the WWF to stay past its original cancellation date on September 22, was officially let go on October 11 with a TNN press release confirming the news, saying that they failed to reach a new agreement with the company despite Vince McMahon originally allowing it to stay on the air until the end of the year, with a potential move to the USA Network now also looks to be off, with a USA spokesperson saying that despite the rumors they had no negotiations with the company, putting the financial state of ECW in major issues with it now again only having the syndicated hardcore TV program, as while all the headlines went to the potential sale of WCW to McMahon. In-house concerns would come out of this night for the WWF due to the rating results on Monday night. As to put the sharp drop in perspective, Raw's second hour tonight averaged 5.9 million viewers, while a little over a month ago, despite coming back after 2 weeks of preemptions on the USA Network on September 11, Raw's second hour that night averaged over 8.5 million, as while a drop was inevitable with heavier competition in the fall season on a much lower rated network. The nearly 3 million viewers drop in a month would again raise questions on if the days of targeting all-time record numbers are in the past. Raw's main event of Rock and the Hardys against Angle, Edge and Christian, going 11 minutes crossing into the 8-minute overrun, picked Raw back up over 400,000 viewers to close the show at a 5.1 rating. Ending up with Angle pinning Jeff to go over, with Rock laying out Edge and Christian, with Rock Bottom's post-match to go off the air with a Rock Angle stare down in the build to their title match on Sunday, as with SmackDown still at record-level viewership and pay-per-view buys continuing at all-time high. The company would hope that the rating on the night would have no effect on the No Mercy pay-per-view headlined by the double main event of Rock vs. Angle and Austin vs. Rikishi to do strong numbers on Sunday.